Hi, I'm Kristin Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? Guess who's here?
Are you shooting now?
Yeah, this is how it goes.
Oh, wow.
There's no
There's
action.
not even an action?
I know. It's magic. It's
That's
just
nice.
magic.
It's a soothed, kind entry. Yeah,
Yes.
it's very nice. It's very Kristin.
If you can't tell by her voice, Sarah Jessica is here.
I'm here.
I know you can tell. It is a joy. As I told her when she walked in, thank God we have this so that I can see her face to face. It is wonderful. And I have been, I literally have so many things to talk to you about that I don't even know where to begin, because I have been fully steeped in season 3 and season 4, which I know that you don't watch, but I need to represent to you the unbelievable brilliance. And I'm not kidding. It is, I cannot believe that we made the show that we made.
Wow.
That's how I feel.
Wow.
It floors me.
Really?
I had Julie and Elisa on yesterday because we got to My Motherboard Myself, which was their first episode, their
Amazing.
first TV job.
I mean, to think now, as you've already stated, and I can just emphasize again, how little I recall, which at this point might be purposeful, but I do recall a lot about My Motherboard Myself, because I think a large number of us didn't even know what a motherboard was.
100%.
And so there was that, which was just understanding motherboard.
Yes.
But also TechServe featured prominently, which is gone, which is so sad.
Yes.
And that was the episode, is that Cynthia's mother?
Yes.
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't believe that was their freshman script.
Real.
Yeah, it was such a declaration of, here we are.
Yes.
We're hugely talented, and they just it felt so right that they had been given that script.
Absolutely.
That
And
episode.
Michael's so smart about that. We talked through that process a little bit, like how did they come? He had it on the whiteboard as Miranda's mother will die, which was a huge departure for us. We had not at that point done anything
familial,
other than,
really.
Right. And as Asif, who came earlier today, was saying, the whole episode is about grief.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you lose your writing, which is your identity, to a huge extent. And also a little bit earlier in the season, in my mind, and Michael Patrick's coming next week. And he told me, I know, I can't wait.
In Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Oh, how great.
I can't wait. I saw him when he got honored for the Human Rights Council, whatever it is. It was amazing. Like just he put a clip together. It was so incredible. And of course I cried, and I was, I might cry again, but it's just so incredible to have been part of all of it,
Yeah.
And just doing things because we wanted to do them.
I know.
Not really realizing the history and the repercussions and the connectedness and
the chatter and the peripheral feelings. I think that wasn't a singularly unique time, but relative to the ways in which we live now and experience and absorb culture, it was, it feels like it was, almost like a newborn baby.
Pure.
There was so little cynicism about work and reception.
Yeah.
And I think so, lots of television shows had come and gone, great shows, lesser successful, meaning shows had success, they had disappointment, they failed, they were monumental and consequential. But I think what was unique was that HBO, to your point, didn't care about reference. They were just doing what they wanted to do.
Yep.
So if there was any reason to be rational about choices, well, don't do that because this show didn't have luck when they did that, or there was a really strong reaction, or there was controversy. That just wasn't the way they made decisions, and that kind of ego filtered down to the shows, which was, if you could afford it, for the most part, go ahead and do it.
Amazing.
Like if you can fit that inside our budget,
right?
Every now and then you had to beg for rain,
Yeah.
But I think that was just a massive advantage of the times in which we lived.
Absolutely.
And that time at HBO where
Absolutely.
it was new enough to be almost reckless.
Yeah.
In there was like a decadence to making television.
Yeah. And like, it's hard to even really fathom the differences now, which, that would be a different podcast, but I'm so happy that we were able to create in that. But I also feel like the choices that were made, and you were a huge part of that. And I wanted to talk a little bit about that because one thing that I do notice, and I was aware of this at the time, but not fully, right? Because I was just in it and trying to do the best I could do and trying to wear the shoes, blah, 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 trying to stay awake when I had to or whatever. Your credit, is at the point where it's changing, right? Like now we're co-executive producer, and originally it was consultant, correct? What was that like, and what was your thinking about being part of the decisions?
So when I met initially with Darren in 96, 97, right? Because we shot the pilot in 97, correct?
I think so, and it was on in 98, yes.
So I met with him, and we met at Eli's, I think, that version of Zabar's on the Upper East Side on Madison, which was and continues to be a very fancy, but maybe some might argue the greatest egg salad in New York City. And I was very happy to meet him there, understanding that typically that lunch is going to be paid for, if you're invited.
Totally.
And we talked about this show and this idea and this pilot. And he said to me then, and you should produce the show at that first meeting. And I said, I don't know how to produce a show. And he said, how long have you been on sets? How many years have you been on sets? And, I sort of thought about a number, and he said, you know how to produce. You just weren't paying attention. You just weren't thinking I should be watching for this reason. You were simply watching. Wow. I'm putting words in his mouth, but that was the essence of the conversation. And I was, hesitant because I felt ill-equipped and I didn't want to walk on a set in a position of authority in title or any reason without feeling like I, had the street cred. And he said, why don't you just be a consultant the first year? Just be a consultant, go to meetings, listen and learn, which was so wise and such good counsel. And also just, I think, enormously generous, because it did in many ways offer me a second career. Like, it paralleled the work of my life as an actor, but it allowed me to learn something else, which I think is invaluable, whether or not I chose to do anything with it. But what I discovered is I love producing.
Yeah.
And I thought producing was really also just simply about math, which I had, basically failed. Like, as a student, I tested very poorly in math. I panicked over math tests, very poorly on my PSATs, as if I'd never entered a classroom in my life. That's how I tested.
Wow.
And of course, what I came to learn also is that producing is people. It's people, 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 people. And you can learn budget. You can learn union laws. You can learn, overtime, golden time. You can learn wages. But how you handle that information is far more important than balancing the checkbook in a way.
Yeah.
If you're a responsible person anyway.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. So I didn't know any of this. This is super, super fascinating. So in the beginning, the consultant was something that was Darren's idea, and you were kind of like, okay, I don't want to overstep my bounds. But then as time went on, how did it become a larger and larger part?
I think what happened is when Michael took over season 2, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always like this mystery. Did we make that up?
No.
And he and I just had a kind of affinity for one another. And I think because he was assuming a really important, critical role, and I was kind of changing the way I was interpreting my job outside of acting, we sort of, there was a kind of alignment, and I think we felt we needed each other.
Yeah.
And therefore, my work as a producer became more important because our collaboration felt so necessary and important. And I think he was looking for someone to talk about ideas and feelings and scripts and pictures and colors. And I was looking to learn more about his work and how I could be a good and helpful partner and co-producer or whatever I was called at that point.
Yeah.
And so I think the more you listen and learn and the more you're able to be a good collaborator and hear people who've done it longer, know more, the better partner you are.
Yeah.
And so I think that season 2, we just started understanding our roles more clearly, if that makes sense.
It totally does.
And you're just much more invested. The more responsibility you have to people, to a company, to a partnership, the more important those choices and those conversations become.
Right. The thing for me that's interesting in terms of observing it, right? I think I've talked about this before. I don't know if I've talked to you about it, but I remember so clearly the pilot. I don't know if you remember this. When we go to the Chinese restaurant, it was like our first group scene, basically.
I do remember that.
And this is when you still had to talk to the camera.
Yes.
And it was super stressful.
Yeah.
You know, it was very strange because you had to take yourself out of the scene and talk to a mystery person in the camera, but yet you were talking to yourself.
Right.
And I'm sitting there and I'm just all like, whoa, you know, that's my general feeling at all times. And obviously very nervous also usually. And I remember a conversation that you had with Darren about the talking to the camera. And I thought you were completely right on because I knew as an actor, how would I even do that? Well, it's a very strange thing.
Hard for me.
Right. And we've talked about that before. But what I remember being so impactful for me was how you spoke to Darren. Because you know, he was in charge and I had only ever known him in the other world, network world of Melrose and whatnot. And it's not like he was, you know, autocrat or anything, but he was like, I want you to do this. Let's try this, you know, whatever. And you were just very calm and talking to him. You were so calm, but you were very clear in a way that I hadn't really seen other actors do at that point because I had not been like our creation was different. You know, it was different from the beginning, right? And you had a back and forth with him, and I was like, yes, she's right. Right. Because it was wacky, you know, when he was asking. And sometimes Darren would just have an idea, you know, like.
Which is good and welcome, of course.
Of course. But sometimes it would be strange. Like I remember one time later on, maybe in season 1, you're looking through a window at shoes and suddenly basically an emoji appears on the screen.
Is that right?
Yeah. And you're just like, wait, what's happening? And do you remember how they used to do like split screens when we were on the phone or whatever?
Yes.
And then they'd move like Brady Bunch?
Yes.
You're just like, wait, what is happening?
I forgot about that.
That was him trying stuff out, right? Well, no, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
But it's also like, you're just like, wait, what? What's going on? Are like sparkly stars going to show up next? Like, what is happening? Which brings me to one thing I'm going to ask you about in a second. But the thing that I love and that really, the reason that I still think about it is that I loved the way that you spoke to him from a place of like calm power, not power of like, it will be my way. And he wasn't saying that to you either. It was, I'm in my skin and this is how it feels. And this is what I'm worried about. I'm worried that it's taking me away from the group scene, which is really important. And from your instincts, there was nothing more important. If you think about our trajectory, right?
Yeah, I think that if he had not, in our initial meeting, if he'd not been so hospitable to me just in general, but also the ways in which he felt like I could and should do this part, I probably would not have had the courage to share with him when something didn't feel good.
Right.
And I think in particular the talking to the camera for me felt really problematic because I think, as I said at the time, it's extremely hard to do well. And as you know, I've repeated, my husband did it in a movie and he did it extremely well. And it felt like a kind of device that suited that movie so perfectly. And I don't have to go into all of that. But if the thrust of our show, as I understood it at that time, were these kinds of intimacies and conversation and the necessity of these friendships and the fact that it was a column. If the human exchange weren't so important, and maybe if we were a 3-camera show,
right,
you could have felt like a kind of buoyancy around that would be funny, and maybe the audience could like start getting involved with it, and you could like almost like score it with music, and like you could do a whole thing with it. But to be a single camera show at that point, darkly lit, like cinematic, it felt like the Sesame Street, like one of these things is not like the other. It didn't. So I think my argument at the time was, I think it's hurting what you're really trying to do, which is the thing that matters most to you. 100%. And I don't think I'm doing it well, which is also problematic. And it's not going to be good. I think it's going to hurt the show.
Right. And you were 100% right, in my opinion. But what I loved about it was that you were fully invested from the get-go. And I don't think you know another way to be. Right? I only barely met you that day, you know what I mean? But like, that's just who you are, which is a beautiful thing. And what also I feel like as time went on and your title grew, and basically what you're saying is that Darren kind of planted the seed, and then you and Michael had this kind of meeting of the minds and souls, right? And that flowed from that. I was thinking about this too as I'm watching, in my mind, what I think I had done, because I watch these shows as though I have never seen them lately. Like, I'm just like, I don't remember that. Oh my
I wonder
God,
if I'll ever have the courage to do that.
I hope and I pray that you will. Like, I'm so happy that you never get sick, and I don't want you to ever get sick. But let's say sometime you pick up a virus or whatever and you're at home. Do you know what I mean? This would be an excellent way to feel better, I think. Because having the distance now that we have, because I always watched it right away when we got it, because it was so exciting, right? And remember, we used to get the VHS, and they weren't always complete. Like, there might be a card or
there'd be a slug.
Temp music or whatever, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. So now, and I thought I knew a lot, and I do in some ways, but like, I was trying to get ready to come here yesterday, and I was doing my makeup while I was watching my motherboard myself. And Sarah Jessica, it floored me, and I cried my makeup off.
Wow.
It is so good. It is so like beautifully crafted and created and acted and all of the things, but also it's about loss. And we're little babies. Yeah. We don't really know. Yeah. But yet it's present. Yeah. Yeah. And that made me just so moved, you know? Yeah. Like it's hard, but it's also great. Do you know what I'm saying? And I kind of just don't know how we did it. Like, I mean, it's just this miracle that everyone came together and was able to create a situation, which I think you and Michael, through your partnership, it bled down, right? That everyone was included. You know, like in the storytelling, like Julie and Elisa, who were so young, could just walk in and write that script.
I can't believe it.
Right? And that was Michael.
What were their memories, or do you not want to spend time talking about that?
No, no, their memories are great, because they're so adorable and funny. And
how old were they?
I mean, I should have asked them, because I didn't ask them.
They're 20s?
Yeah. God. Really young. And they had been out in LA meeting. They had a pilot, and their agent told them to go meet Darren Star the next morning. They were like, no, sorry, we've got a flight. And he was like, you're going to change your flight, and you might have to sleep on someone's floor. Right. So they had to sleep on their friend's floor. Right. Like they were little kids. Do you know what I mean? But they're also so adorably grounded in themselves that they were like, no. You know what I mean? Of course. And then Darren, and then they came to the writer's room, and then Michael did his magic of, you know, like, cultivating them and giving them the confidence. But also, they told me a funny story that he would pop his head in their office door and be like, you're fired. Just to keep everyone on their toes. You know what I mean?
And they had the office at Silver Cup. I remember their offices. I think they were upstairs above Michael.
Above the floor where we would do and sort of most like of the stuff.
The second mezzanine.
Yeah, the upper weird floor that sometimes you'd get off and you'd be like, wait, where am I?
Yeah, it was
they
so
were totally
strange.
Up there, right?
They were up there.
And they also talked a lot about Jenny and Cindy and the kind of female bond, and that they were there first and they were kind of senior to them and really helped them. And it's so beautiful to hear about. Yeah. It's incredible. And soon we'll have Amy B. Harris and we'll have Liz Tuccillo.
Oh, great.
We're getting to them.
Oh, great.
It's so much fun to think back on, and just like.
Yeah, and Amy will be super interesting because she was there really from the beginning, you know.
Right. I don't think I'll say this to her, but I remember her carrying Darren's suitcase.
Oh, yeah. She was his assistant.
She was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
It is amazing.
Her trajectory.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really, and now she's a showrunner
and impressive in so many ways.
One of the things, you know, you talk about, you know, kind of when you talk about the work being good, which is so nice to hear, I remember the church.
Yes.
I remember, obviously, TechServe. I remember wrapping the computer in a scarf or something.
Yes.
To hand
A
pashmina. I think is Becky Ann Baker in that episode?
She's the sister. It's the first time we see her. Yes.
So, you know, and I think we've discussed this before, but it bears repeating. It's not as if it was, you know, completely free of any complexity, but it was so happy. Like, I think of being in that church for countless hours and all the background players that were there all day long.
Yes.
And just the kind of working environment, it was funny and fun, and the crew was always laughing and working the hardest of everybody, you know.
Yes, yes.
And big equipment in those days, bigger.
Those big lights,
huge lights
rolling
and
around.
big cameras with film and real film and loading magazines of film and carting them from far away to a shoot, you know, to a location that we couldn't have the trucks nearby.
Right.
And just the kind of collegiality, the kind of fraternity and sorority that surrounded it, I think helped a huge amount.
Yes.
Because, and it's not that great work can't happen when people are unhappy, and there's lots of examples of that too, but I prefer the former.
Of course.
You know, so part of me isn't even surprised that you're experiencing it that way because we liked doing it.
Yes.
Like, we really loved the table reads.
Yes.
You know, if something didn't feel right, we tried to talk about it and see if we could adjust it.
Right.
Make it feel more right or more correct, and then be told the reasons that we're wrong, you know, which I tend to believe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But there was a real kind of youthful energy.
Yes.
I don't mean that spiritually even. I mean, like, sincerely.
Yes.
From people from all ages, though.
Yes,
you know, youthful
yes.
energy from 60-year-olds to 20-year-olds,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
and that
yes.
includes cast, crew, and everybody in between.
Yes. Yes, for sure. I mean, there's so many things that I think of when I'm watching it. And because I talk about it and my phone algorithm shows me things, I saw this adorable picture and I was going to try to print it out, but I forgot. You know the white dress when you break up with Big in front of the plaza and you say your girl is
Kristin
lovely.
Dior.
Yes, beautiful. There's a great behind the scenes picture where you're standing kind of in the forefront. I'm sure it's the paparazzi, whatever, but less than obviously than now. But Joe Collins is in the background when he was focus pulling.
Yeah,
and he's
focus.
wearing like a straw hat.
Oh, he wore that hat all the time.
You remember?
Of course
and
I
the
do.
shorts and like a wife beater because it was like 100 degrees.
Yeah,
or whatever.
super handsome.
Oh my God, so
Yeah.
handsome. And I just remember how they got us through the day.
Yeah, they were amazing. The camera department was
Beyond.
so superior.
Right?
Like, they were incredible, and everybody, you know, matriculated up. Everybody,
As well they
boom,
should.
boom, 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 boom.
I know. Did I ever tell you that I had the crazy like fantasy when we came back to doing Just Like That they were going to be there?
Sure.
And I was like,
I understand
damn
that.
it.
Yeah, I know that
forgot
feeling.
They have huge titles now. I know. And we got a wonderful crew and stuff.
Amazing.
But like, it is so interesting to think of like, that
John
is,
McDonald,
oh my God, incredible.
rest in peace.
Yes.
Joe
Like,
Dolly.
Joe Dolly.
Flat Mannery.
Oh my God. Like every
Mike
single
Camera.
person. Mike Camera, incredible.
Finnerty.
Yes.
Your man, who was he always called his wife the bride. Our big gaffer, he moved all the sets.
Bobby?
Lowry.
Oh, Lowry.
Lowry.
Do you remember Bobby, my driver?
Of course, Bobby.
I love
Because then Bobby started driving me.
Yes.
When Super Dave left.
Oh, yeah.
Super Dave.
I love it so much. Okay, wait, we could go off on so many tangents. But one of the things I wanted to tell you, which was really highly, highly enjoyable, because as I said, in my mind, and Michael Patrick tells me that he's going to be able to fix this when he comes. But in my mind, I have no memory of season 4. And I now realize that
What's season 4?
Season 4, so much happens, Sarah Jessica. I mean, it's insane.
Okay.
But in my mind, what I think happened, because we shot 18 episodes season 3 and 18 episodes season 4.
Did we really?
Yeah. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
And that is also when we started getting nominated for things.
Oh,
so it
wow.
became a year-round situation.
Got it.
Which is what I remember, which of course I was thrilled, right?
Right.
But also like, what do I wear? What do I do?
Right,
Like
of
chicken
course.
with my head cut off, right? But in my mind, I think I conflated them into one because a lot of the storylines, it's when we really invest in the long-term storylines.
Got it.
We
Yes.
double down on it, right?
Yep.
And we become more brave in terms of like my motherboard, myself,
Right.
grief has suddenly entered the picture, not just a breakup, but actual death.
These
and
kind of life-altering milestone events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we're really, in my mind, like understanding that we can do those things and trying them, and succeeding so beautifully, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But I think part of the reason I don't remember it is because it was personally so kind of overwhelming, right? Like the success. Do you remember when we first got nominated for an Emmy?
I could pretend I have more detailed memories. Here's what I do remember about all of it, or awards, is that Amy Harris always knew everything.
Yes.
Like Amy Harris was, somehow from New York City, embedded in trade information.
Yes.
And she always came to me the night before nominations, and I was always like, "Oh, Amy, I didn't know about this. Why did you tell me? I don't want to know about this stuff.
Right.
I would say I didn't care because it, could potentially be too painful to care.
Yeah.
And if we'd been not considered previously,
Right.
we were just fine. Meaning, like,
Totally.
not like we're just fine. Meaning, like,
well,
we
I
were-
don't
we
think
were
I
fine.
didn't expect it.
No, and I think there was a kind of a rub that, we were these out-of-towners. We weren't really part of a television industry, that we weren't
Playing the game.
Yeah. Or that we just hadn't kind of like been part of a courtship that's more traditional. And even if that hurts your feelings for a minute, I don't think it, kind of was long-term damage. So it was better to stay distant and circumspect.
Yeah. I think that's a really healthy attitude.
Yeah, I think that's like just the only way to survive and not feel crappy if your industry says,
Right.
we're not considering you people.
Of course.
In New York City. And there were so many other wonderful things about being part of our show that, were real sustenance. So if it hurts for a minute, that's all right.
Right.
If you break something that's like super important to you or lose something, my way out of it typically is, and I'm not talking about people, losing people. I'm talking about like a thing like a nomination but in this case, an important necklace. I just tell myself, I didn't know about that thing 4 weeks ago or 3 years ago. It wasn't in my life.
Right.
I didn't need it, want it, count on it, look at it, hold it, wear it, smell it.
Yes.
So a nomination, I sort of felt the same way. If I felt that there was disappointment, that Michael was disappointed or anybody else, I would feel it. But then I think, I didn't even know about this stuff 3 years ago, or I didn't know about this stuff 48 hours ago before Amy Harris told me nominations are coming out.
Definitely.
And if anyone ever asked me about a campaign, it's like, please don't ask me about a campaign.
Right.
Please don't show me pictures for a campaign. I
Right.
don't want to know about it.
Right.
For all I know, we're not going to get anything. So
that's healthy.
do it on your own.
Right,
if you
that's
want
so
to do
healthy.
it.
But also, it didn't actually, and I think this is important to even say now in the way that the world operates, it doesn't actually affect the work that we were doing, one way or the other, right? It's not like because we won an Emmy, which we did, which we never thought we would do. We did. The show won an Emmy,
That
Sarah.
first year?
No.
But I thought you meant the first year.
She's proving her point that she doesn't even know. It is adorable. Oh my
Wait,
God.
let me just clarify that. The first year we were nominated, we did not win.
I am slightly unclear. So this is what I believe happened.
When I was
you were
pregnant,
nominated and you won.
Okay.
Previous to the show being nominated, and then the show.
Are you sure?
I think you were not there because it was the semi-Emmys because it was 2001.
Got it.
Kim and I were there alone.
No, wait. What year in 2001 was it? What part of the summer? It would be
the semi-Emmys
because
we
I
had
remember
to push it.
I was pregnant and I couldn't travel for one, and I think you won.
It wasn't that one.
Okay, sorry.
It wasn't that one.
Okay.
It wasn't that one. So remember 9/11 happened, which we're going to discuss the show's reaction and whatnot. And then we were supposed to have the Emmys like right after. I remember that I had a photo shoot on September 10th, so I'd pushed my flight to September 11th,
Yes,
which you remember.
I know well.
Yes. And I had 2 vintage Hervé Leger original bandage dresses in my suitcase that I was supposed to decide between for the Emmys.
Were you going to check that luggage?
It was checked. It was checked. Because I was going home after the whole season, right? So I had a lot of stuff. I had my golden retriever, Callie, right? Yeah, so we were all on that plane. I got Callie out of the underneath, couldn't get the bags. I was really stressed about those original dresses later, obviously, not on the day. Did eventually get them back, thank God. And no one was upset with me, which was really nice. So then, because of the war in Iraq, we had pushed the Emmys back.
Right.
And some people felt we shouldn't even have
them at all. I remember some controversy around
and
that.
I wore a short dress.
Did you?
That's why I call it the semi-Emmys. I was like, it feels weird to get like
in the midst
totally glam. And what I do kind of somewhat understand now is that, you know, that is enjoyment for people. People enjoy us getting dressed, going, trying to celebrate
it's fun
the things
to see those
that
images,
they love.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but at the time, I don't know that we felt that, and we were all still just trying to recover our bearings,
right?
You know, from the situation. But that's why you don't really remember that one
because only you and Kim went.
Correct.
Got it.
Alone.
Okay.
We were alone in our short
Was
dresses.
Michael Patrick there?
I don't think so. He's not in the pictures.
Wow.
I have to ask him when I see him.
And we won?
Yes. The show won an Emmy.
For writing?
For the whole show. They give an award for the whole show, Sarah. You're making me so happy right now because you're adorable.
I'm not feigning this. I really don't.
No, I know. I know. Everyone,
okay.
She's not feigning this.
No.
Okay. We're just going to show you pictures now because this is how you're going to remember. This is the year 2000 when you won a Golden Globe.
I remember that dress.
Yes. Do you remember who made it?
Richard Tyler?
Yes. Do you want to know why I remember that
Were you with me?
well? No, I also wore Richard Tyler.
Did we both?
We both wore Richard
Tyler. And we didn't coordinate it?
I don't know. I don't think I knew you were wearing Richard Tyler, though I think you told me to look up Richard Tyler because he was in L.A., right?
Oh, that's right. He was in both New York and Los Angeles.
Is so
that's right.
Rare.
That's right.
And he was
on
Melrose.
Man.
Yes.
Yes, he had a shop on
Melrose.
Melrose.
I still think about it every time I drive by. Obviously, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And I had not had a stylist at that point. Didn't really
I don't know if I had a stylist at that point.
I feel like you might have had Loren, but I'm not sure. Maybe not yet.
I don't think so.
Okay, got it.
I don't think so, yeah.
So I went over there to the shop. In the window of the shop was a beautiful red dress on the mannequin. And I was like, could I just wear that? And they were like, someone else could be wearing it. I was like, who cares? You know,
I never cared about that.
Right. And also like, I didn't really understand what the Golden Globes was, like fundamentally, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know. So I wear this red dress. I do, in fact, run into a woman wearing the identical dress at the Golden Globes. She was very nice about it. She was possibly an executive's wife or something, you know what I'm saying? Because she just went and
Two
bought
women
it.
with taste.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, it was there to buy, right?
Yes.
And I loved it. But it rained that day and my hair's all frizzy.
Wow.
And like I don't have the group picture of us, but Michael's got the curls.
Yeah, Jim Croce.
Yes!
I used to call him Jim Croce.
Oh my God, so good. And I remember because remember how the film people would be at the lower level at the Hilton, and we would be
you're
in the
reminding
TV.
me, yes.
Do you remember? And we could watch
in the
them
back.
all. Exactly.
TV
but you had a
folks.
good view, right?
Very
of
good
everyone
view.
moving around.
If the stage was in front of us, I think we were back on the right.
Yes.
We were back on the right, like audience right.
That was our spot.
Yeah.
They would give us our spot almost every year.
I remember
it was
that.
fun times. But then when they called our name and we're just like, what? And we have to get up. We have to make it all the way down there, right?
I wonder why they voted for us.
They love
that's
us,
so
Sarah
nice.
Jessica.
Yeah, they were really nice.
We just saw that lady when you got your
Yes,
Carol-
she's so lovely.
Right. Like
Helen.
they're our biggest fans. It was incredible.
they were
It was
great.
incredible. And I remember having to go all the way down and us being like,
Through
what,
people.
we go? We go, what? Oh my God.
I know.
And our faces.
Who spoke? Did Darren speak?
Darren, yes,
Yeah.
Darren. And Michael Patrick's behind him with girls. And we're all just like, what? We're up here? Like, we're just like so like deer in the headlights. And my biggest memory of the whole thing, other than just the shock value, was Julianne Moore is sitting down in the film section and she is clapping like it's literally the best thing that's ever happened to her. Like she's like levitating off her chair. And I was like, Julianne Moore knows her show.
Wow.
And that was my first kind of introduction to the warmth that can be in our business, you know, like the support and the warmth from other people that you admire. It was so nice.
Oh, that's really nice. That's a nice
Right?
memory, yeah.
So then the next day, my memories continue. The next day, I went to return the dress that I had borrowed from the window. And when I walked in, it was a pretty small store, like a pretty intimate store. I smelled your fragrance because you had been nervous and you had sprayed.
Of course, that's even when I'm not nervous.
This is what she does. And this is before you had an official fragrance. This is when you were mixing your own
my
fragrances.
Own.
And I was like,
and
is
I had
Sarah
returned the
Jessica
dress.
Here? Yes, you had returned the dress. And
Aren't we good and punctual?
Yes, right? You taught me that.
It's the honor system from the library.
Yes.
If you bring the book back, you get another.
Exactly.
If you bring the dress back,
yes,
they might let you borrow another one.
Yes, you were such a
in decent
good
condition,
leader.
with the exception of fragrance.
Right, it was a beautiful
Atmosphere.
fragrance. I mean, the
Thank
whole
you.
store. I thought you were literally in the store. I was like, "Is Sarah Jessica in the back?" And they were like, "No, she just returned the dress." And I was like, "Oh, it's her fragrance." And little did I know you were going to have this whole amazing fragrance line, and now you have another one. This is what I want to discuss.
Well, God, this is our
And
this is our
is it-
14th fragrance.
Is it? Oh,
It's all birthed from Lovely.
got it.
I mean, there have been some outside the house that don't meaning they aren't children of Lovely. But this is, the new ones are they're kind of almost standalones.
Ooh.
The bottle shape is different,
It's
although
beautiful.
there are design elements that mimic the cap of Lovely.
Oh.
So they're ribbed like the original cap of Lovely, and they
Nice.
have the grosgrain kind
Love
of
the
stripe, which is a nod to my mother, which was also my shoes.
Yes.
So they're pieces and elements, and they're sort of triplets versus a singular
Got it.
fragrance.
Are they related to each other?
Only in packaging, not in juice.
Got it.
So the scents are all entirely different.
Wow.
And actually there's 4. I said 3, but there's 4. Oh, there's 3. Okay, I'm not mad. Okay. So the juices, the fragrance don't have anything to do with one another. Just the packaging.
Got it.
Just
and
their
when I
bottle.
smell them, am I going to be like, oh, yes.
They're not going to feel reminiscent of Lovely,
Okay.
but they're great.
Ooh.
They're much less polite. You know, Lovely's like a very
Yes. It's kind of light. And
polite, very like it has extremely good manners. You know, Lovely is welcome. You know, it's like and these they have nice, strong personalities. They're more fun. They're more contemporary. Am I describing it well? Would you say? Yeah, like even the boldness of each bottle is like a bold color.
Got it.
The bottles are unbelievable.
I mean, I saw a picture on the Instagram. They're
They're
great.
amazing.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to hear.
So in
the
each side
updates.
of those really kind of bold there's like something really graphic. The fragrances are really bold. They're great.
Neat.
Yeah, they're amazing.
I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
And then we have
so
another one
excited.
coming out after that that's really good.
Another fragrance.
Yes.
Or a whole different thing.
It's Lovely. It's
Okay.
another lovely
Got it.
child.
Got it.
At this point, great-great-great-great-grandchild.
Got it. Amazing.
Yeah, I think we're in what year now? 20.
Incredible.
Yeah, it's our 21st year.
That's great.
I know, it's funny.
Do you
Lovely is
ever-
21 years old almost.
Wow, your first child.
Yes.
Wait, how old is James?
Well, no, not my
Not your
first child,
first.
but
Yeah. It's like, wait, no.
the first fragrance
I
child.
know. See, they're frozen in my mind. I can't
know,
keep
I
up
do the
with
same.
the actual ages.
Yeah,
It's,
let's
it's
just leave
kind of
them
terrifying, right?
as young
Totally.
toddlers. Let's just leave them all there.
Totally, yes. When you think about, so we were talking a little bit about the trajectory of your producing, right? Which I love the origin of it. I didn't know that origin story. And I feel like you stepped into it with such grace and the way that you were able to combine caring for the crew with the choices. I also remember that, like in the wee hours, you know, Melfi would come up to you. We'd be sitting in our chairs and he started talking to you about the next day. And I would just be like, oh God, I don't even know if I want to listen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, all the different details that you had to take into consideration about the call and this call and that call and your call. And, you know, you'd force your call and I would just be like, oh my God, she's so strong. Oh my God, how are we all going to do it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we did. We found a way.
Yep.
We found a way, which was amazing. Sarah Jessica, we could talk forever, as you know, so let's take a little break here. And you guys, we will be back for another episode of Are You a Charlotte?